All right, let's see if this thing is working this time. I hope it is. Can anybody hear me out there? And I'm going to have to wear glasses too, I think. How's everybody doing? Hopefully you guys can see me. And hopefully you guys can hear me. I'm going to adjust the camera just a tad. All right. As long as you can hear me, that's the bigger piece. All right, perfect, good. Jumpstart this party a little bit early. Hopefully everybody's doing well out there. Looks like we got 4 people. Give it a couple more minutes here, everybody. I jumped the gun just a tad. Just want to make sure it's working this time. All right. Hey, what's going on, man? Hey, how was your trip out to Washington? I saw some of your shorts you did out there. Looks like you had a great time, or maybe you're still there, but yeah, that's great, man. Too bad you weren't riding, or did you get any video? Hopefully, you were riding out there. That's a long way to go and not have your bike to go up in those Washington mountains. Oh, absolutely. I hear you on that one. And now we got Oregon to ride. So maybe just while you're out there, just Washington, Oregon, work your way down into Cali and get them all out of the way. That's awesome. Yeah, I saw that. I was hoping. Did you? Hopefully, you got some more video on the Tour Tech thing, or did they not allow you to uh, film inside their place? I'm sure they would have. That's gonna be kind of cool. That's great. Lost at Last Adventure, guys. There's another person out there that does this stuff. So, all right. Hey, we got 5. It was 8 o'clock here. So, hey, I obviously this thing's working. So I'll have my glasses on and off because sometimes it's hard to read read the what you guys are typing out there. So, anyways, first live stream, and I do want to say, for those that are watching, there's 5 of us, 5 of you there. That thank you for subscribing and just being part of this. I at the end of the day, I really do this to kind of give kind of my perspective. I've said this in a lot of my videos, is that you know after not riding for over 30 years and getting into this, and it's been less than, well, it's almost 2 years. I bought the bikes, bought my GS back in, got delivered first week of March of 21. So yeah, it's almost 2 years. And just the stuff that I've gone through has been pretty crazy. And, but it's been a journey, no pun intended, obviously, but it has been a journey, and I'm really enjoying it. If anybody does the GoPros and the YouTube stuff or whatever, or even tries to do any editing and stuff like that, man, it is a labor of love. But I enjoy it because I like sharing kind of what I go through with everybody, and just give you guys a perspective of what's it like, someone in their 50s or any age really, of tackling or getting into this arena of adventure motorcycling. And obviously there's different scales to it and everything like that, but it's been pretty wild. So 22 was a crazy year. I don't even know where to start with that thing. I think the two big things that I had in 22, as I reflect on it, is when I was at Appalachian Adventures, my friend Kane Wagner, who runs that, owns it. We were on the PA Wilds ride, and you guys probably obviously have seen the videos by now of me going over the edge. And that really took a little steam out of me this summer. And oh my God, I might have to back up a little bit as I reflect. There's actually probably 3 or 4 incidences. So first would have been Mid-Atlantic BDR. I was trying to finish that back in early April. That's where I tore my knee up on section 8, the Jeep section. So if you ever ride the Mid-Atlantic BDR out there, section 8, there's a 3-mile Jeep trail, rutted. It was raining on us. If you saw the video, that's where and it really wasn't because of the bike or anything. It's just where I planted my foot and it slid out and it buckled, and which can happen to anybody anywhere. But that kind of threw me for a loop because my leg was down for a little while. I actually cracked 3 ribs about 3 weeks later when I was out at Dragoo's training in the sand. So I cracked 3 ribs there. So that, kind of started off my year not so great. And then I had the incident happen in June with my bike. I actually thought Cap was done. When I went over the edge, I really thought Cap was going to be totaled out when I got back. But they brought her back to life. And that bike, I mean, if you guys have a GS, for those that do ride them, man, that thing's like a tank and tractor, whatever you want to call it. But that was big. And then, but that screwed me up for the summer because I was supposed to be at Rawhide Adventures for a trip with them in July. That got blown out. Couldn't do that. And then obviously I had the fiasco trying to do the Wyoming BDR, which was really frustrating because I really wanted to do that with Chad. Hopefully you guys today caught my first interview with Chad, and hopefully you guys like that. And I'll touch base a little bit on that. But and then the Wyoming thing was just a bust out and very frustrating. But stuff happens. I mean, this is part of it, right? You kind of get out here and do these things, and stuff happens. It doesn't always go the way you plan it. And so those were the couple of things that kind of was frustrating in 2022, but a lot of great highlights. I learned a lot. Let me take a break here. Let me see what we got here. TSR, hey, what's going on? And thanks for the comment, Steve, on the interview. Yeah, I think we've got some more stuff like that, and I'll touch base a little bit on that. But some great things. I've stated in some of my videos about training, and I can't say enough about the Dragoo's and Dart training, or Tom Asher as well. And I know there's plenty others throughout the country that do training, but they have made me a better rider. There's some things that I have done this past summer. My buddy Tim and I took off and did that 3 miles of hell video, if you saw that. And if it wasn't for the training, and it wasn't really for Tim like pushing me, that was probably the hardest thing. And now I realize that I pretty much think I can get through anything. It's going to take maybe time, may take me extra time, whatever, to do it. But the training has been invaluable. And then being, and just getting out and riding it, because these big bikes are something else out in the wild. So, but those have been great things. Like, again, I had a great time at Whalen Wayne. And then I had some, stuff with the bikes and stuff this summer, which was, cool. Did some changes on bikes, but I think that's all going to kind of cool off a little bit. Nobody really needs 4 or 5 bikes. So who am I kidding? We'll see what that turns into. So, but anyways, it was a great year, just a little bit frustrating with a couple of incidences, and it cost me a couple of opportunities, especially out, like I said, especially the Rawhide, riding into Colorado, and we were going to do the Continental Divide and stuff like that. So anyhow, but Yeah, so I guess that's kind of 2022. If you guys have any questions about that, I mean, there's a lot, but I kind of try to do that as just a give you guys a quick insight on that. 23 is really shaping up so far to be outstanding, or I'll say fantastic because that's my favorite word. I've been told that a few times, but. Getting a bike ready, bikes ready and stuff like that. But I am riding in Colombia in a couple of weeks. I'm going to be gone and flying to Cali, Colombia for 10 days and going to have an opportunity to, yeah, never enough bikes, Steve, right? So, but yeah, I'm going to Cali, Colombia. And actually, I'm riding with Chad Warner. There's 8 of us. There's a total of 10, couple of obviously the tour folks or whatever, but we're all going down to Cali, and I think that's going to be a fantastic opportunity to ride in another country and go to places that I never thought I would be. And yeah, it should be an awesome time. So I'm going to kick off the year here coming up in a few weeks in Colombia, and then realistically, then from there it's getting things ready for March Moto Madness. Hopefully, maybe some of you will be going to that. That's in Tellico Plains. And it was a great event last year. It was awesome. And then after that, it's the Fool's Ride, again with Kane from Appalachian Adventure. And then probably April, May, there's some things that are sitting out there. I don't know if I'm going to go, but then in November, in June, going to the MOA in Richmond. That's the game plan right now. And then last week of June looks like me and the group that I ride with, or we're headed to the Northeast BDR, and we're going to run it actually reverse. So if any of you are on here and you've done the Northeast BDR, let us know. Put some comments out there and let me know what you guys' thoughts are on running it north to south. That's going to be interesting. I think it's a very challenging BDR. So if you don't know much about the BDRs, or if you do, but I've been told that from numerous people that the Northeast BDR is one of the top 3 most difficult BDRs. And the MOA, sorry about that. The MOA is the BMW Motorcycle Owners of America rally. So that's their national rally in June. So and they'll put that on. And if you folks didn't know, recently in the last 2 months, I got recruited as director of social media for the GS Giants, and which it's mind-boggling to me that I've only been doing this for about 18 months and being part of a great organization and to be doing those things. And I think it's humbling to say the least. And but the GS Giants are going to be there at the MOA working with Chad, who helps put on the event, and the whole team at the MOA. And there's going to be an adventure area. So just so everybody knows, they're going to set up a trials competition. They're going to set up doing some different rides and stuff for adventure folks. So another great opportunity on the East Coast if anybody's over there. Speaking of GS Giants rallies the weekend before, unfortunately I can't go, and it's in the center of the U.S. It's in the Ozarks, and what's really cool is one of our board members, Rob, is going to lead a ride after the GS Giants Go Big rally. They're leaving and they're going to do the TAT, the Trans-American Trail, all the way from the Ozarks all the way into Richmond, Virginia. So they're going to follow a lot of that. Plus, I think hit a little bit of the Mid-Atlantic BDR. I think they're putting together a fantastic piece. So pretty cool stuff. Lost at Northeast BDR currently listed as second toughest. Okay, second. I knew it was top 3, but yeah. And so thank you for that. But yeah, so when you go into the MOA, so they're going to go from the GS Giants Go Big, and they're going to leave out either Sunday or Monday, and then they're going to follow the TAT all the way to the MOA. And I think that's kind of going to be a cool ride if you're involved with that. So, check it out if you've got time. I know these rallies, there's so many of the things that go on. It's like, it's hard to almost make a decision on where you go, how you want to ride. And it's a lot. And, I do see comments all the time about, sometimes everybody feels like it's a money grab, or it's expensive. It is expensive because everything else is just going up in the world as we know it, unfortunately. And it does cost a lot for these folks to put these events on. And it's hard for, I'm a normal, you might think that YouTube and making all, we don't make anything, trust me. At least people like me. This is more for fun and me to share my experiences. But these things are expensive. Like, all this stuff comes out of my pocket. I mean, I've shared all that stuff with you guys. And but you start adding up rallies. It's a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there, and $60 here, and $50 there. And if you're going to do a BDR, it's probably going to cost you probably about $1,000 or so, and that's doing it on the cheap. If you can do it on the cheap. And so there's, the cost of it. And that's one thing that I think I will try to share this year. That was one of my goals, was to write down like the cost of things and kind of give a synopsis of, what things cost and what you look at to spend, because it can add up. And but you got to pick and choose which ones you want to go to, because evidently, we're not all, I'm not retired, I'm not, independently wealthy. I wish all of us were, right? So we can go ride all the time. But yeah, these things happen. So, but anyways, back to my trip. So, Northeast BDR, and then after that, really comes down to July, August. There's some timing things that I have to think about what I'm doing. But we probably all Soggy Bottom days. I am signed up for that. That's at the last weekend of July. That's with Kissel Motorsports up in PA. They're sold out already. They sold out 400 slots in, I think, 72 hours. So planning on doing that. That event's been going on for a long time, if you've been around. And then you get into August and September, it's Waylon Wayne 10th anniversary. Again, I can't pump it up enough for Chad. And if you've ever been to Waylon Wayne, it's just a great time. 10th anniversary, they're going to blow it out. It should be fantastic. It'll be good entertainment. So if you can get to Waylon Wayne, I would definitely put that on your list. You got the Red River Scramble in Kentucky after that. There's other things that are coming up. October, I know that there's some rallies. I know there's some Indiana group that's putting together. I was at the BMW dealership today in Cincinnati and talked to Chad, who was telling me about they're going to put together something in October. And then you've got everything else around here, especially in our neck of the woods. You can do the CAT, the Kentucky Adventure Trail. You can do the Soul, Southern Ohio Adventure Loop. You got the Indiana Loop. We've got, obviously, you can get close enough to get to the PA Wilds, which, I've done portions of that. And then you got the BDRs. You can run the Mid-Atlantic, or, head up to the Northeast, or, truck it all the way out West Coast. So, or the west side of the country. So a lot of stuff. It's like I said, it can overwhelm you at times. So what other questions we got out there? Let me see here. If you could only do one event or trip, which would you recommend? Okay. Great question. If you could only do one event or trip, which would you recommend? Event wise, if you're wanting to do more off-road than on-road, out of what I mentioned, possibly Soggy Bottom and Waylon Wayne, and I would probably pick Waylon Wayne, just because I know the environment. Now there's some probably maybe a couple of people on here that might want to chime in about the Soggy Bottom one, but that's a rally. And then the Go Big, I've never been to a Go Big, and I've heard that that's fantastic as well. Now, if you check out the GS Giants YouTube channel, because I started that for them, they have some trials competition and stuff going on there. That's fantastic. So, and I can't talk to that because I've never been out. And it's all, you know, like I said, this one's in the Ozarks, and there's some great rallies, right? Like, but because I know Waylon Wayne, I would say that one, just because Wayne National Forest has a lot to offer on trails. And boy, if we get any rain or anything like that, that can make for some fun stuff. And, you know, so that's that. Now, as far as rallies go, you know, the MOA is good. And March Motor Madness is fantastic. It's hard if you said one. Now, trip wise, it's a BDR. For me, it's going to be a BDR. I finished the Mid Atlantic last year. Actually, just finished it up in November. Trip wise, like that, I went to Wyoming's BDR last year, and for what I did do out there, I mean, if you've never been out in Big Sky Country, unbelievable. It is absolutely unbelievable. If you have never been to Wyoming, Montana, you know, any of that area, I can't say enough about it. It's just absolutely gorgeous out there. So trip wise, it would be a BDR. It would be, I would pick a BDR. That's what my goal is probably over the next 3 to 4 years is to get as many BDRs done as I possibly can, and do that. But rallies wise, I mean, if you want to do one in spring, March Moto Madness, get into the summer, Go Big. If you're riding, and Go Big, even though it's a GS Giants event, it's open to everybody, so you can go. It could be a Go Big, the MOA, you know, it could be that, and then Waylon Wayne in the fall. You know, so you got summer, you got MOA, Soggy Bottom days, and yeah, and then I would say the fall would be Waylon Wayne. So I know it's not picking one, but it's very difficult because there are some really good events and just the people. I mean, I will talk about that in a couple of videos coming up with Chad. Is just that the people you meet have been fantastic in this arena. So sorry if it was long-winded and didn't really get to the answer, but there's just so much, and hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea. Let's see what other questions I got coming in here. Hey, Skater Cop. Oh, thank you. I'm a GS rider in my fish. That's cool. I love it. I love hearing when I can reach people and you know, at least share my woes, you know, because I have a lot of failures. So, but I'm glad I could share this stuff with you and let you guys know what's going on out there. Summer riding in the Cascades in Washington is really awesome. Oh, okay. There you go. That sounds wonderful. I got to get out there. That's another part of the country that's another beautiful area and that you can do out that way. So yeah, so yeah, I love it. It's been like I said, this has been a great journey so far. I'm going to obviously continue it and keep sharing, you know, these different adventures that I seem to get myself into. Like I said, I got a couple of partners in crime that I ride with, and sometimes we let him get the Garmin going. And my buddy Tim, if you've probably seen him on the videos, I yelled at him at the one on the 3 miles of hell. I said, you know, I said next time stay on the road. So, but good stuff out there. So again, thanks for everybody who's watching. So I'll continue. If you guys want to ask questions, shoot away. So part of the channel for this coming year, you guys have seen a little bit of it. I'm going to try to do some interviews, obviously. I will tell you that I'm in the process interviewing Kane Wagner from Appalachian Adventure. I think that would be a good one. Tom Asher's on my list. He's already said yes. And I've reached out to a couple other people that, you know, are are some instructors, some folks that do other training that are heavily embedded into the ADV community and been around for a while. So you look for those throughout the year as well. I think, it's kind of nice to connect with those people and to have that conversation and dialogue to at least share their background and their history and how they got there, knowing that there's a lot of us like myself that are either new to it or want to explore it or want to get into it. So that's part of it, because the writing videos are great. Don't get me wrong, and I think people like to see them and stuff. And I try to keep them, short and sweet to a certain degree, and show all of the highlights with my buddies like Dan Down, which I'll probably get yelled at for, adding him. But at the end of the day, I wanted to broaden some of the perspective of the channel and bring to you who I think we all kind of see on Facebook or social media or whatever, and bring them, into your households and kind of let you guys hear from them on how they started and where they're going or what they're doing, that type of thing. So that's one of the things that I really wanted to do different this year. So let me see. DC Rider checking from East Tennessee, 20 miles from the Dragon. All right, I like it. Very nice. Man, I tell you what, the first time I did the Dragon, so DC, you're lucky you're there. But first time I did the Dragon that would have been, so I've had my bike for almost 2 years, right? So, boy, I mean, I'm getting old. 21 would have been, right before I went to the BMW riding school. This would have been April-ish, I think, April, May of 21. Yeah, April, May of 21. And oh my God, I ran into so again, haven't ridden in 30 plus years, got the bike in March, and then at end of April, beginning of May, I'm down at the BMW riding school. So not a lot of riding, still getting my feet wet, and I'm on the Dragon. And so, not that I'm going slow, but I'm also not going very fast either. You guys will get a kick out of this. I'm there on a Thursday. I think it was a Thursday. And I'm sitting there going, okay, school's in session. It's not really, summer, so it won't be that bad. That's the reason why I did it, right? All of a sudden, there is like 50 Mini Coopers out of nowhere. So I got 50 Mini Coopers, and a couple of them are like right, they're right on my derriere. And I had to pull over in one of those little gaps or whatever just to let them all go by, because I was like, holy cow, I felt like I was getting run over by the Mini Coopers. But and then I went back the following fall, and but it's a great ride. And I think I was there March Motor Madness too, so I did it 3 times in 1 year. The Tail of the Dragon. It's always a fun ride, right? I mean, it's always fun. You probably are bored with it because you're there all the time. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Dover Head Force. Yeah, so Steve, thank you again. Yeah, I try to share the gear stuff, like gear and electronics and stuff like that, because if you have seen any of those videos, and I just did the series of 4-part series on kind of what I pack. I have gone through a lot of gear in 2 years. I have bought stuff, donated things, put things in boxes, things that I thought would work or was recommended that just didn't work. And I finally got down to kind of the core stuff, and that core stuff is really what I shared with you in those videos. I do spend the money. As all of you that are still here with me know, that it can get expensive real quick. Gear, boots, gear, everything. I mean, my gosh, if you're buying climb and boots and everything, you're a couple grand already into it, and it can get pretty crazy really quick. And so I've really had to monitor kind of those type of things. I've found that climb is best for me just because I'm a big guy and it's suited for me. I have some Revit stuff, but boy, I am not European size. That is for sure. So Revit's kind of difficult. Now, if you're normal size, I would say, like you're thin or your normal built, then Revit is a fantastic brand as well. But I find that the Climb is just a bit more roomy for the big guys. So that's been fun. I went through a bunch of boots before, uh, sold off a bunch within like 6 months or so, and again, a matter of fact, I just got another pair of boots. I bought a pair of Alpine Star, the Toucans, and I have two pairs of CDs. And I'm going to do a boot thing review. But the boots are expensive, and so there's gear can get right up there. In my electronics, oh my goodness, GoPros and 360s and drones and I don't know. I don't even know how I afford the bike after this. After this, so yeah. Oh yeah, you're good, Steve. It's all right. Hey, I'll make mistakes, and then you guys can live vicariously through me. It's all good. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, DC Rider, you're right on that. The Dragon, yeah, and the racetrack mindset. Uh, Ironman back. Do I put my bike? I do not put my bikes up for the winter. I will I will ride them as much as I possibly can, even in the wintertime. I have some pretty good heavy winter gear that I use. So I will ride the GSA. I've ridden it in snow. I've Cat goes out. Um, my Aprilia is still in Pennsylvania, so it's been up there for a couple of months now. Everything's fine with it. Also on the Aprilia, just if you guys didn't know, but the Aprilia is fine. That was operator error way back in right before Thanksgiving, but they've had it. I'm getting a quick shifter put on it. It's got clear water lights on it now. I put some heavy duty, some Black Dog foot pegs on it, and it's been sitting up there because a couple of us took our bikes up there to get fixed, and so we just have to go retrieve it. And being 400 miles from Kissels is not the like round the corner type of thing, so you got to kind of plan that. Now I have an R9T. If you guys didn't know this, I have an R9T Scrambler. That's a 22 BMW. And then I also have a 22 Bonneville T120 Black. And no, so I do not put them up for winter. I ride them. So if it is even close to being some rain that takes the salt out of here when we do have snow in Cincinnati, I will, if it's 40 degrees, it doesn't matter if it's 35, 40 degrees, I'll take the bikes out and run them for 5 to 10 miles or whatever, just to get them juices flowing and keep them up to speed. So no, I do not winter my bikes. Let me see. Let me get caught up here. DC Rider, single. So yes, I'm a single guy. It's funny that you say that. My ex, who only lives a couple of miles away from me, her and her new husband, they always make fun of me because they want me. They think I should just go ahead and like buy like a cabin and a boat and do like stuff like that. And this is the way they could share in it with our kids. And I'm like, nah, that's not really happening. I'm doing this thing. So yes, I am a single guy, and uh, and also I will tell you, since my son went into the Air Force, obviously I had some funds that was for his college because he only went to college for 1 year. My son's in the Air Force now; he's based in Germany, and so that saved me about 40 some grand a year, $45,000 a year at school. So yes, that's a lot. He did get some scholarships and some other stuff, but still, it was a pretty big number paying for school. And since I had a little bit of that to fall back on, that's how I got into the motorcycle game. So Uh, I don't know. You know, do I get a girlfriend? Do I get, or ride bikes? So yes, I'm single guy. Oh, let's see here. Dan Traeger, how are you doing, buddy? Long time no see. A fellow classmate of mine, all the way back from high school. Wow, nice to see you on here, Dan. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate that. Um, Yeah, Dan, I tell you what, I really have tried. It's funny, people ask me like, what's your skill level or whatever, and I always answer with, I am an expert novice. So so or expert beginner, I should say, or whatever, So yeah, I'm constantly learning. That is one thing, Dan, I would tell you that I think, and I know you've been riding for a long time and you're a big Harley guy and stuff like that, but I have to tell you, I think you can always continue to keep learning. Especially at least in this world that we do with the adventure riding, I would tell everybody that you can never stop learning. There's always some technique, something that you could pick up from somebody. No matter how long you've been riding, I think you can always stay vigilant in keeping up your skills, and because you just never know. I mean, I'm sure that everybody that has ridden here, there's always been a one incident or something that's come close to having a bad, situation. I mean, heck, look at me. I went off of riding off the side of a cliff there in Pennsylvania. And that was because my back tire slid out from underneath me and off I went. So, yes, Dan. So, yeah, I definitely committed to getting better, buddy. Glad you stopped by. Who do you look up to in the ADV riding community? Okay. Great question. There are in my short time, there are a few people that I really, really. So Tom Asher. Now, if you don't know who Tom Asher is a 2016 GS Trophy participant. He represented the United States. I think they were in, I forget where they were at in 2016. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but I've gone through a couple of Tom's training classes, and I would tell you, if you're in adventure, and Tom does real world immersion. Like, he takes you straight into the woods, takes you straight down into the mud, and there is no, like, doing the balancing skills and all this other stuff. Tom takes you straight into it, and I really look up to him because I used to think that you needed heavy duty knobby tires and all this other stuff, which I run. I no bones there, but Tom runs Dunlop Trail Max missions at 8 to 10 pounds and tears it up. If you've seen my videos with him training, or some of the stuff that he's done, those are actually Dunlop Trail Max missions, a 50/50 tire, and or more of probably a 60/40, 60 street, 40 off road, but 50/50 tire. And he'll air it down to 8 to 10 pounds, and just he rides it like he can ride that GSA like it's a single track, and he goes up against anybody on it. And it's amazing what he does with that 600-pound bike. The other person that I look up to, who I've met and become friends with, is Bill Dragoo. Bill Dragoo is a 2010 GS Trophy participant. Bill is in the ADV community probably one of the kind of like elder statesmen. As when you mention Bill's name, a lot of people respect and everything. And the way he treats people got me even more so than what his training was. He's just a great person. And so those are really kind of two people I look up to. There's people you admire and stuff. I admire Chad Warner, the person I interviewed, because he's the guy that I sat down to, just like I said in the interview. We sat down at that Bob Evans, and he just gave me a bunch of information, and I was just a complete stranger to him. So, those are people that I look up to or inspire me, type of thing. Tom and Bill for sure on the writing, and just what they do, and Chad, just from the fact that, you know, he really was open to me when I first got into this thing, and just as a stranger sitting down to him at a Bob Evans that I ran into him. So those are really, you know, a few of the people. And I've been, again, very fortunate. I've met Jocelyn Snow. She's absolutely fantastic. I was fortunate enough to be at the launch of the Wyoming BDR last year in California. Wendy, she's a trainer. She was in the Wyoming video. She's a trainer down in Greer, South Carolina. I've become friends with her. So yeah, some of these people have been really nice to me, and made friendships with people, and it's been, I feel fortunate. Again, I'm a nobody, been riding for less than 2 years, and I feel like I've got to know some of the people I consider the Super Bowl of ADV riders, right? So it's pretty cool. So hopefully that answered your question, not to prolong it. Let me see here. My wife must be great, because one of your videos, I told her today, next spring, I'm picking up a GSA. She said, okay, Steve, you the man. Everybody should give a round of applause to Steve for his wife agreeing to get a GSA. So that's fantastic. I was actually looking at a new one today. Tom Asher's the man. I was on his Easy Ride. Looking forward to your interview with him. Yeah. You'll Tom's just a great guy. Tom's just a very, again, it takes a special person to teach this stuff, right? And to be a part of it. And he really loves when you're successful. Like when you learn it and you're successful at it, he's just, like I said, I can't say enough about him and Bill. And so you'll trust me. And you needed to go on our, the expert ride with him next time when we're at Whale and Wayne. Do that one. Okay. Did I just call Bill old? Did I call Bill old, Steve? Did I? I don't know if I called him old. Well, I say elder statesman, right? I don't think I necessarily he's old. But yeah, he's, like I said, he's the elder statesman. Like you got that Mount Rushmore thing, and I think, you know, Bill Dragoo is like on that Mount Rushmore piece, so it's kind of cool. Elder, there you go. I got you. All right, Steve. So yeah, like I said, it's been a great experience so far. Like I said, majority of the people I've met have been fantastic. I think, and I don't know about you guys out there, but for the most part, there's only been a couple of people that, you know, have either not been, I don't know, genuine, or not been helpful, or, you know, I guess in that manner. But pretty much everybody that I've come across has been fantastic. And I love my word fantastic, but everybody pretty much has been fantastic in the community. You know, normally you talk to people, and I get it. You know, not everybody's personalities gel, and sometimes you might not get along with somebody or whatever. But I've really never met, other than maybe one or two individuals, that, you know, have been really not that way. And but everybody seems to be open. They share stories. They share their experiences. What works for them, maybe not works for you, whatever. But I have found that this community has been fantastic to just to hang with, and to enjoy and ride with. And like I said, it's a learning experience for me every single time I go to a rally or do some event or show up someplace, because I get all jacked up about it. I just do. I'm a matter of fact, today I was at the dealership, as I said. I actually had to take cap in my battery. I've had, this will be my second battery replaced in less than 2 years with my GSA. So take that for what it's worth. I don't know what the deal is there, but they can't find anything. But this will be the second battery that they'll put in on my GSA. But what I was going to say is, I ran into a couple of people there, and, you know, they started asking me questions about adventure riding. This all gets all my blood pumped up, because I enjoy it. I really, really get into it. So let's see. Ironman. Yeah. So Ironman, I do. I did. That's how I started off, really, was doing a lot of solo rides. it has now got to the point where it's less and less. And I will probably throw a few solo rides in this year. And there's a caveat to that. Would I do a BDR solo? No, there's no way. I do the or I try to do the expert sections. I would never tell anybody to try to do it. Mid-Atlantic BDR might be your only one you could do solo because it's the easiest of the BDRs, and the expert sections there outside the Jeep section, which is still doable, is pretty. I'm not going to say easy, like Po Daddy and Flat Hollow. If you saw my videos recently, you still need to be technical. You still need to be cautious of what you're doing. But for the most part, Mid-Atlantic, you could probably do it by yourself. But I would not recommend any true adventure stuff doing it by yourself. Now, I went all the way out to Badlands and stuff on my first long tour. I went, again, Devil's Tower, Montana, North Dakota. I did all that stuff by myself, but it was mostly touring. Like I wasn't doing a lot of off-road. So if you're going to do off-road, I would say never really do that by yourself. It could, anything can happen on that. Do I like to do them solo? Yeah, to a certain degree, because I feel like when I ride with a group of people, if I'm trying to do what I try to do is create content for everybody here and that does, watch my stuff, it takes time. I have to, we got to stop. I get the drone out, maybe some videos, some photos, vlogging, whatever it is. And what ends up happening is I feel like I'm drawing back the ride from anybody else. And, or I have to remind, some guys, hey, let me cross the river or the creek or whatever. Let me go set up a camera, come back, and then we all ride across because I like to get those shots. And it just stops the flow a little bit of the ride, if you know what I mean. And so for me, I do like to do sometimes solo because I can get those shots. I can take my time to get the drones and stuff out. And I haven't done a lot of drone footage this year because I rode with a lot of people and I feel like I'm holding up the ride. So if that gives you any indication, I do like to do some solo stuff every now and then. And I will try to do a little bit of that this year just because it's also, it's not bad doing solo stuff, right? Get out there and get a little windshield time and kind of just, decompress and do your thing out there. So, but yeah, that's a good question. That's a great question. Thank you. He needs other people to help pick up that. He needs people to help pick up that bike. Yes, I am getting older and picking up that 600-pound pig with another 70 pounds on it. Yeah, that can get old, by the way. All right, Trevor, how you doing? Another big guy over 50. I like it. I like it a lot. All right. Love your channel. I have my 2 GSAs for. Ooh, all right. Oh, that would be fantastic. I appreciate the offer, man. I almost bought a second GSA. So those that know me. Most of them won't admit to this, but I almost bought a second GSA. Matter of fact, I had that K1600 I bought this year, and to be quite honest, it just wasn't me. Great bike. The K1600 GT or the GTL, the K1600 bikes are just absolutely, they're like a crotch rocket with a Barca lounge. I mean, it's great bike. Wasn't me. I love my GSA. So, and I tried to get our dealership to work with me. I actually ordered. I ordered a brand new GS Trophy, the Trophy Edition this year, fully decked out. Everything that you possibly could get on it, everything. And we just could not agree on something. And the dealer that I bought the Touareg from gave me heck of a trade-in value. And when you're talking about $3,000 is $3,000 to anybody, right? And And so at the end of the day, I ended up flipping, and that's how I got the Touareg and the 660. Now, am I happy about the Touareg 660? Yes, it's a great bike. I goofed it up, revving it and doing, you're not letting it break in period and put it in limp mode, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, that it is a great bike, the Touareg 660. So I'm very happy with that. And also a middleweight bike. It's, almost 150, what, 100, almost 150 pounds lighter than the GS, 100 and some pounds lighter. So when I do have to pick up the bikes, it's going to be easier. But yeah, I was a little bit frustrated by that, but I'm almost thinking that it was kind of a blessing in disguise because obviously there's a lot of rumor mill about the 1300 coming out next year. And so maybe it was a good thing. Maybe it's setting me up to get the new one, the new version coming in next year. But who knows? Do I want another GSA? Probably. Knowing what I went through this year with Cap, maybe having a backup wouldn't be a bad thing to have. But yeah, so at the end of the day, I would love to have two GSs. So I am jealous of you. That's great. All right. If you were to sell a GSA, what other big ADV bike would you? Oh, big ADV bike I would purchase. Oh, that's a great question. It would be hard for me to go away from the GSA. Now, I have been looking at an 890 KTM, the Rally, the 890R Rally. I actually have. This is sad to say, but I actually have one that's going to be held on hold for me when it comes in. Don't think I'll pull the trigger on it just because how many bikes do I need middleweight? Now, big adventure bikes. I've ridden a Pan American, not a big fan of that. I don't know if anybody else has out there, but not a big fan of the Pan American. I didn't find the ergonomics of it comfortable, at least for me. So I probably wouldn't do the Pan American. The KTM's, was it the 1290 or whatever? Could be. I've never really ridden a KTM, and I'm going to get my fill of it. And one of the reasons why I kind of have the 890R on hold, I'm riding a 790R KTM in Colombia in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to be riding it for 9 days. So that'll give me a good indication on whether or not I'll like my KTM, and I'll have to report that back to you guys. But so that's a little bit of that. I hate, people will probably beat me up for this, but not a big fan of the Africa Twin, but that's kind of personal because of what happened to me with it on the Wyoming BDR. And so, but I've also seen the Africa Twin with the DCT model in training sessions, both at Dragoo and with Asher, and it struggled. And now, again, operator error. Some folks didn't know how to take the traction control off, or some, don't know how to, maneuver the bike, especially with the DCT stuff on it. But I just was not a big fan of the Africa Twin. I think the only thing it's got going for it is a 21-inch front end wheel. So no offense to anybody out there, but I think it's personal just because of what happened to me on the Wyoming BDR. And so, yeah, outside of that, I don't know. I don't know if any other really, the big bikes that I would do. I mean, the GS is so hard to beat. It really is. GSA or the GS, just because it's, people beat it up all the time for this or that or whatever. But when you do the rankings, it usually is number one because it's just so good in every category, and it's hard. That great question, but of the bikes that I've ridden so far, and I'm not talking the middleweights, the big boys. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's one that beat the GSA. Let me see here. Yeah, I can't wait, DC, to get the Touareg back myself. The Norden 901. Yeah, so I have developed a friendship with Ian from Big Rock Moto. I'm sure you guys know what the channel is. I mean, he does the best, and we have communicated back and forth a little bit. And if you know Dork in the Road Ben, he's friends with Ben as well. I am not. But I know Ian raves about, he loves his Torque 660. We've exchanged, and I've told him because he was asking me questions about what happened with my bike, and he's had both, and he had a bad experience with his Norden 901. And Ben, I think, is getting ready to sell his on Dorking the Road as well. So again, it's a KTM, right? The 901's a KTM, so you might have, any of these bikes can have issues, but that's always the other thing with the KTM's is, he's got, they have some suspect, mechanical issues sometimes, and but you can have that with anything. It happens. 901's nice though, from what I've heard, but I kind of trust Ian as in depth as he goes on stuff, and he actually bought a 660, so it would be kind of hard for me to go away from that. It will be surprising also to see what Harley Davidson does. They're coming out with their 975 midweight bike as well. Should be interesting. And I found out today that BMW is going to revamp their midweight bikes, and the rumor is it's going to happen for next year as well. So there might be a new, 1300, and they're going to redo the midweight bikes as well. So trying to take some less poundage out of them and give them some more HP and go from there. So again, that's what I know for a novice guy. BMW is like a Jeep kind of. Yep, true. Yeah, the BMW. I mean, I have found that any of these bikes get expensive, but the BMW does get expensive. That's another thing I really wanted to do, was sit down and go through the expenses of me owning the bike over the last year. It adds up. It adds up. I actually bought a trailer this year, because I rode the bike. I've got 37,000 miles on my bike in 18 months, and that's a couple of months of that bike sitting at the dealership getting repaired after it went off the cliff. So I've got 37,000 miles on a bike, and burning through tires, and especially I run knobbies now with the Motaz. So for me, I bought a trailer to kind of eliminate some of the expenses that I was having throughout the year, because it starts racking up pretty good, as you guys know out there owning these bikes. So, still got 11 of us here, so thank you. Dorking the Road helped me decide on camping gear. Great. Yeah, Trevor. Ben does a really nice job on the camping gear, and he's really dialed in. He's done a real nice job with his channel, and I mean, heck, I watch him just like probably you do. So yeah, great stuff, great content. I know he's trying to change some things and maybe get back to some other things he's doing, but yeah. He does a real solid job. He seems like a nice guy. So rode both KTM and Pan American, win 6.5, 300 BMW only. Yeah, Trevor. I mean, you think that? I mean, obviously you're a big guy like us. Rode both KTM and Pan American, BMW only choice. Yeah, I just found that the BMW was just, both for touring and in off-road, it's just the comfort of it and the ergonomics of it, I just find better. KTM, if you want to go 100 miles an hour in a BDR, I don't know who wants to do that, but yeah, the KTM is going to rip the shreds out of the ground. I mean, it's going to give you so much juice. It's like it's a crotch rocket in a desert. And I get it, but seats, kind of narrow. I found it a little bit uncomfortable. And then the Pan American, I just did not like standing on the foot pegs. I felt not great. And then the handlebars, and I guess you can always make adjustments, but I just found it the Pan American. And not only that, I thought the Pan American, for the money, was cheap. Like if you look at their instruments and their, all this, it felt plasticky and cheap to me. And I don't know, if you're spending that kind of money, you're spending $25,000 for a bike, right? At the end of the day, especially if you get it the way you need it, you're spending 25 grand on a bike. It doesn't need to be looking cheap or plasticky. That's my point on that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, well, anything else, folks? I mean, great discussion. I'm glad you guys all showed up, and I probably an hour is about as much time as everybody wants to kill, anyways, listening to me babble on. But yeah, any last questions or anything out there for you? I really appreciate you guys stopping by, doing my first live. I finally got it right. Third time's a charm is what they say, right? And looking forward to hopefully riding, meeting a lot of you live, all that stuff. And I think it'd be fantastic if somebody else just joined here. Thanks for your help. Yep, no problem. Always glad to help. Again, you guys can always best choice for small bike 450. Oh, all right, Matt. I don't ride a small bike. I literally, my 660 is probably the smallest I ride because I feel I got on a beta. I will say this: I got on a beta at Kissel's. It was a 350 beta or something like that. I just felt like I was going to crush the bike. And not only that, but I had a 310 GS. When I bought my 1250 GSA, I also bought a 310 GS. And as big as I am, and I'm not a small guy, I just felt like, boy, suspension and all that stuff for a big guy, you would really have to doll it up for somebody like. Now I've seen some guys that ride it, but they put some heavy duty, suspension and everything into it, and I couldn't get into the 450s. I would be doing you a disservice, and I would just be fibbing because I have no idea on those. I really don't. So sorry about that. Yep, DC, thanks. Yes, Trevor, absolutely. Would love to meet sometime. I appreciate TSR. Yeah. Season 2, like I said, everybody, look for it. Hopefully, I'll have some content that you guys are liking. These interviews, you guys will be seeing obviously some stuff coming out when I go to Colombia, South America. That's going to be fantastic, and then the rest of the balance of the year. So please, if you're at an event, we're at an event, swing by, say hi. Love to chat, like to meet folks and just share our experiences in this community. So you guys all have a great night. Really appreciate it again for stopping by, and appreciate you guys' support out there. So take it easy, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.